Being 7 o'clock PM, I'd like to call to order the Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School meeting of November the 9th. Will all please rise, salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
And a moment of silence.
Yeah.
We have our first order of business tonight, public comment. Is there anybody wish to address the school board on a public comment tonight? None being here, I will move on.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I
Approval
move the
of minutes.
approval of October 12th minutes of the regular school committee meeting.
Second.
Are there any changes, omissions, or depletions?
I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't here.
Okay, sir, yes. So, none being heard, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, one abstention. Mr. Wood. Next is the treasury report. Mr. Lesage. Move to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on the treasury report? Excuse me. None being heard, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? None.
Why?
Next under is old business.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
may I inquire about the girls lacrosse team situation?
You may.
We're working again with the athletic director to look at that spring sport. Again, part of the issue for us, for girls lacrosse, is fields. As it is right now, when we have boys lacrosse, we're busing them to a Haverhill field. So we're looking to co-op. Hopefully, we've had some discussion with Amesbury on co-oping with them for a lacrosse team, but that's in the preliminary stages.
We already co-op with Amesbury for hockey,
Yes.
and any chance of girls and boys playing lacrosse together?
No, very different game.
Okay.
How many girls do we have involved right now, Marty?
We don't have any.
We don't have any. We're still exploring.
Right.
Okay.
I just thought I'd bring it up because it was an inquiry last month, and it seemed like a reasonable request.
Okay. Thank you. Any other old business? Excuse me. Moving on. Reports and communications. I have a communication here that was received today from Mr. Galena, representative. I read to inform you that I have resigned from all my committees with Whittier. It has been a privilege to work with all of you and your staff. This was to Maureen. I placed my home on the market and we're moving to New Hampshire when sold. Keep doing the great work you do.
Wow.
Except with regret. Got plenty of
Good. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you. We have no other information than that. That he also serves on the Pentucket School Committee, so I don't know what their plans are. We will try to, Ms. Lynch will be contacting them in the near future to see if they're gonna wait to replace him there or appoint somebody right away. We don't know that.
Wonder if Jane Moran would be available. She really enjoyed
Yeah.
her brief
I mean,
tenure
we
here.
can reach out, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes.
was gonna say, they don't necessarily have to be on both committees.
No, they don't.
I think Groveland generally did not have it on this, on both of them on the committee. Is that correct?
Right. Pentucket School Board appoints to this school board.
Right.
So I tried to get in touch with Dr. Mulqueen. We played a little phone tag, and so far we haven't caught up with each other. But I'll work with him on a new member.
Yeah.
So that's Groveland.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
Groveland.
yes, Grove. Okay, our student representative is not here this evening.
Yeah, but I have his
And
report if
Ms.
you would
Lynch will do her best.
to fill in. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. The GSA Club this month has made a display board for open house planning for Transgender Month, including a Dress to Express Day. They're planning on talking about coming out, using resources for human rights campaigns. The Multicultural Club has two guests this month, Miss Gabby Monroe, who shared about Lithuanian culture, and Mr. Tynes, who spoke with students about being an instrument of peace. They're both informative and fun. The chess club is growing in interest multiple new students joining every week. The roster includes 14 students at this time. The first robotics team has picked their competition locations and dates. They're called the Maroon Monsoon, with a huge roster of 45 eager students. They'll be competing March 3rd through March 7th at the Granite State event in Wyndham, New Hampshire, then also March 17th through the 19th for the North Shore event in Reading. The chorus performed an open house at the cafeteria on November 6th. They performed 3 small pieces and were accompanied by 3 student musicians and guitars on drums. They rehearsed and practiced hard to put on their best show. The Key Club kept busy, as usual, helping to raise money for the Haverhill Gazette Santa Fund. They also sponsored the blood drive at Whittier, where Red Cross collected 20 pints of blood. They're getting ready to help with the Thanksgiving dinner at the Salvation Army. The Peer Club had a successful Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The students dressed in pink for support during the Spirit Week, and the club sold bracelets with proceeds going to the American Cancer Society. Many clubs and students volunteered at Open House this month, giving tours, demonstrations, and useful advice to prospective students. The boys varsity soccer team ended the season 4-12-2. The boys worked hard. This was an up-and-down season with many young players getting varsity experience. There was only 1 senior on the team, and the boys are looking forward to a strong, experienced season next year. The boys cross country team is having an unbelievable, undefeated season and just won the CAC championship meet last Saturday. The girls soccer team had a phenomenal season this year. They qualified for the state tournament but fell short to a very strong Bishop Fenwick team. The girls volleyball season ended with an 8-12 record. They played competitively with all CAC teams, finishing 4th in the league, just missing a tournament berth. Notably, the varsity team played point against strong non-conference MVC teams in Dracut and Haverhill, both great learning experiences. 2 seniors were voted as CAC All-Stars. They'll be represent Whittier Tech at the CAC All-Star game on November 14th at Mystic Valley High School. The football team had a very rough schedule, and their record does not do the team justice as to what a strong season they have had. The highlight of the season was upsetting number 2 seeded Essex Vocational Technical High School, which was a game that went on 2 different days due to rain delays. They also played Division I schools and held their own each and every time in the playoffs. This team has high hopes for next season, as the junior varsity team had a fantastic record of 6-3, and the freshman team had a very impressive season with being 7-1. The team, especially seniors, are looking forward to the Thanksgiving Day game against Greater Lawrence Tech.
Thank you.
We are always such a
Nice
busy
report.
group. Very positive for the kids to be so involved.
Yes.
I think, what you said the last meeting, there was, how many students were involved in the fall athletic program?
300 and something students, 340 something students. Athletic.
Yes.
The parade float.
Yes.
Was it mentioned? Is that something that's happening?
The parade float is happening. And it will be happening now until, what is it, the week after Thanksgiving?
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering when it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had a chance to go down and see it. It's quite impressive. We have a live train going around.
Don't spoil
This
it.
year's float? You did, oh,
It's a
really?
spoiler.
Yeah.
Oh, not, it's right down there.
That was a little spoiler.
Yeah.
Oh, it's nice.
All right,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
That was a good,
Now we move on to the reports, the superintendent's report. Ms. Lynch.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Before you have today, I have personnel hires for information purposes. I have route bus drivers, a part-time security monitor, the MCAS retest after-school program, the SAT after-school program, evening school instructors, game clock officials, event ticket collector, clerical support for the health office, and MacBook iPad specialist coach. At this time, there is no budget update. MCAS, Whittier offered an MCAS after-school program for juniors and seniors that needed to pass the math MCAS. The program ran from October 20th through November 7th. 2 transfer students took the ELA MCAS on November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and there are 15 students taking the math MCAS today and tomorrow. This includes 2 transfer students and 1 student from the class of 2003. Results will be available in late January. For my update, On Thursday, October 13th, I attended the NEASC, a showcase of model school programs at the Westford Regency in Westford. I attended this program with Kelly Fay, our curriculum coordinator, Andrew Pigeon, our assistant principal, and Brian, our trainer, our visual design instructor. On Tuesday, October 18th, I hosted the superintendent meeting here at Whittier. I want to thank Carol Jacobs from Georgetown, Brian Forget from Triton, Gary Reese from Amesbury for attending this meeting. On Thursday, October 20th, we held the Whittier Advisory Board meeting. The Department of Elementary Secondary Education was here along with 100 industry leaders, working with our vocational staff to ensure that we're meeting current industry standards. Beverly DeSalvo, our vocational director, did a wonderful job coordinating this event. I also want to thank Mr. LaBella and Mr. Bardsley for attending that evening. On Monday, October 24th, I met with William Lupini, Essex Tech Superintendent. We were able to take a tour of the building and to discuss the ongoing issues at our schools. I met on Monday, October 24th, I met with Charlie Lyons to discuss MSBA and our statement of interest and what the next steps may be. On Tuesday, October 25th, Art Reed, the police chief of West Newbury, came to the school, and we met with Beverly DeSalvo and myself. We're working on a project for the chief, and we also discussed possible collaboration efforts moving forward. On Tuesday, October 25th, I attended the Ipswich Town Meeting with Kara Cosmas, the business manager. I want to thank committee member Russ Barsley for attending. The town of Ipswich approved the article to set up a stabilization account. On Wednesday, October 26th, I attended the 7th Annual Massachusetts Job and Workforce Summit at Devon's Common. This was a phenomenal event that Governor Baker attended, and most of the vocational technical superintendents in the area attended as well. On Thursday, October 27th, I hosted the Superintendent Advisory Board meeting. We reviewed our vocational technical programs along with our evening programs with that board. I want to thank all board members for their support, including Mr. Joseph Bevilacqua and Haley Klein from Senator O'Connor Ives' office for attending. I'd also like to publicly congratulate Senator O'Connor Ives for the birth of her son, Ronan. On Thursday, October 27th, I attended the YWCA meeting where our own Kara Cosmas was honored as one of the Women of the Year. On Friday, October 28th, I attended the North Shore Superintendent's Roundtable. A presentation was given by Ron Noble from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education on the status of district-determined measures. On Monday, October 31st, I met with my mentor, Joan Conley. This will be my second year of the induction program. On Tuesday, November 1st, I hosted Dr. Gary Reese, superintendent from Amesbury, in the Amesbury School Committee, along with Charlie LaBella and Tony Lesage. We were able to have lunch and take a tour of the building. On Wednesday, November 2nd through Friday, November 4th, I attended the MASC-MASS Joint Conference in Hyannis. I want to thank Dave Irving, Alana Gilbert, Joanna True, Charlie LaBella, and Tony Lesage for attending this event. I'd also like to discuss where we are with the MSBA. We put in a statement of interest last April. I continue to be concerned about our maintenance systems and them reaching their expected lifetime. It's imperative that we start to plan where we would like to see the school facility in 5 years, 10 years, and in 15 years. About a month ago, I shared with you that we lost our chiller and will be needing to replace the boiler in the very near future. These costs are extensive. My hope is that we'll be accepted into the pipeline with MSBA, where the state would be covering 56% of those costs. I and the administrative team continue to reach out to members of our local communities and state legislators to continue the discussion on the needs of the Whittier District. I want to thank you for your continued support in that area. Also before you today, I have 2 field trips from the ski team, one to Brenton Woods on January 21st, 2017.
Move to accept the recommendation.
Overnight?
No, just a day trip.
Second?
I have a question. Do we have the paperwork in line?
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
That being said, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, unanimous.
I also have another ski trip on March 4th to Okemo Mountain Resort in Ludlow, Vermont. Did I seek approval?
Move approval.
Second.
Is that one an overnight trip?
No,
No?
Set the date again.
What time do they leave?
March 4th, like
Go to Vermont?
5:30 a.m. The return time
5:30
6:30 a.m.
We have the necessary paperwork in line?
We will,
Thank you.
They use a school bus?
yes. I'm not actually sure. Sometimes they use a tour bus, but they pay for that. The kids pay for that.
Yes.
I did.
Do we second it?
Yes.
Are we gonna vote?
Yeah. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Expedite this.
I also received a letter from the Newberry Elementary School. Dear Miss Lynch, the Newberry Elementary School faculty, students, and volunteers would like to take this opportunity. Thank you for allowing your students to assist with the building of our new Newberry Elementary School playground, as well as the culinary students for the wonderful lunch provided to the volunteers and workers on Wednesday, October 12th. Without their support of parents, businesses, surrounding schools, Newberry Elementary School grows and community members. This would not be possible. The children will truly enjoy using this new playground throughout the school year and the years to come. The Newberry Elementary School truly appreciates your kindness and support, and I know Mr. LaBella was a big part of making that project happen, so. And that's all I have for you tonight.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have a quick question. The game clock official, that's $30 a game, correct?
Right,
The ticket collector, that's $30 an hour?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. Is it
Okay,
an hour or?
Should be by the game, isn't it?
I think it's the game, I'm sorry. I think it's the game.
Could you check that, please?
Yep, I'll check it.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah.
You only take tickets for an hour.
I noticed that too, I
Had my
I-
back.
Yeah, I think it's a game.
Thank you.
All righty. You'll correct that
Yeah.
for minutes? Thank you. Any questions concerning the superintendent's report? Yes.
One question. Is it only football games that tickets are collected, or are there other sporting events?
At this time, sometimes a basketball game, but for the most part, it's football.
Okay, I'm just curious to know
Yeah.
what the sports.
Any other questions? Okay. Move on to the next agenda item. Report by the principal, Mr. Leganis.
Coordinator.
Oh, you missed something? Oh, yeah.
Kelly?
Kelly.
I gotta, how do you make these, let the thing bigger for old people?
You go like that.
Yeah, excuse me, we're coordinator of curriculum and staff, Ms. Fay. Sorry for that.
Charlie. Three fingers.
You can do that?
Charlie.
Oh.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, members of the school committee. I am Kelly Fay, and I'm here to provide you with my annual academic update. The first thing that I'd like to discuss with you is new curriculum. In April of last year, 2016, or actually this year, last school year, the state of Massachusetts adopted new curriculum frameworks in the area of science. What is interesting is that the MCAS exam in science is still going to continue to be on the old frameworks. So for this coming school year, 2016, and next school year, 2017-18, the high school biology MCAS will remain the same. So because of that, we will not transition the biology courses to the new frameworks. The state has actually stated that we would be hurting our students if we were to transition them within their academic classes. That being said, for 2018-19 and then 19-20, the state has yet to determine if they will transition the MCAS. But once we hear, we will make those accommodations for our biology classes, which are our freshmen and sophomores. All other courses will begin the transitioning process this school year, utilizing the new frameworks. A major thing that we do within our building is professional learning community time, or PLC time, you'll hear it. And it's become embedded within the culture of our school. Most of our teachers value this time, and they credit the success that we have had on the MCAS exam in the last 10 years or even longer, being to this opportunity that we've provided with them in the master schedule. It started when Ms. Lynch was principal. She was able to free up time within teachers' schedule to give them the opportunity to actually meet by grade level, by content area. So all English grade 9 teachers get to meet together for a period, a couple of times within the month. All history, US 2 teachers get to meet together, and they actually have the opportunity to sit and plan and talk and examine student work and data, and it's really been helpful for our scores and our student success. Over the last couple of years, we actually have also transitioned this time to also implement vertical PLC meetings, where our English 9 and 10 will meet together for a period once a month. So they're able to talk vertically. Okay, what are we doing in 9 that we need to do that's going to have the students be successful in 10? And then we also do that for 11 and 12. Both of our biology classes do it as well, Bio 1, Bio 2, and then in our mathematics classes, we heavily focus those on our courses that need to take and pass the MCAS exam. This way, everybody's on board, and we're all working towards the same goal, whether we're teaching the current students that are taking the MCAS, or we're going to teach them next year or the prior year. We've also last year, with the help of Mr. Leganis and Ms. Lowell, implemented cross-departmental PLCs where we have the math, the science, and the English department chairs meet together. This way they're able to actually talk about what's going on in their courses and how they can help each other. It's been extremely helpful and eye-opening for the teachers. What's successful in English to get the kids to pass the test is actually not successful in science when reading the science exam, and same thing for math. So they were able to kind of talk to each other, which they weren't doing before. So that's been helpful for our students as well. Within our health curriculum, we address substance abuse and prevention. Within our curriculum, we address prevention for the students, how to abstain from all of these substances. We also discuss the consequences of using these substances in the event the students choose to do so, and hopefully they do not, and making healthy decisions and self-management skills. All of the curriculum is aligned to both the national standards as well as the state of Massachusetts curriculum frameworks. We are also a recipient of the Shannon Grant this past school year, and we have an application in for the next school year where we are following the influence program, which is another added layer to the substance abuse program that we're doing here at Whittier. Is that we are in plans for the New England Association of School and Colleges. We are in our 10-year decennial accreditation. A team of people will be heading to Whittier for 4 to 4.5 days, and they will be examining everything that we do. And this is to give us our accreditation. At the moment, we are going through our self-study process where the entire school is examining everything that we are doing. So our teachers are working when I tell you very, very, very hard at analyzing their areas and what they're doing and answering the questions that NEASC has put out to see. They're working very hard. So I'd say on average, most days I've been after school the last 3 weeks till 4 o'clock with different people who just want assistance in how to do this. And this is above and beyond. This is their time that they care about the process. Excuse me. We're going to be undergoing this for the next school year. At the moment, we're going through our academic and our vocational content area reports, and that's going to be ending in December, and then we're going to be transitioning and breaking the school up into standard reports. There's 7 standards that NEASC puts out, and everybody's going to get broken up into a different group, and we're going to analyze based on the standards. So it's a lot of work, but the staff is doing a fantastic job. And that's all that I have for today. Do I have any questions?
Yes.
Well, I have a question about the health curriculum and then substance abuse and prevention. What, for example, would you do if a 17-year-old student came to the nurse and said, I have a drug abuse problem? Is that outside of the realm of this curriculum because you're just trying to teach students about it? Or what exactly would a
I'm going to
student,
defer that to Ms.
what response
Lynch.
would the administration give a student if you said you had a drug problem?
I'm going to defer that to Superintendent Lynch.
That was brought to the nurse's office. The nurse's office would then, in coordination with the principal and the director of guidance, we would try to find support for that student. and services for that student. That would be beyond the health curriculum. That's an individual, individual issue.
Because I guess what I'm getting at, if someone learns about in the curriculum, they learn about this problem, and they say, well, maybe I do have a problem, would the nurse be a person to go to, or
The nurse or their guidance
teacher, or
counselor. And we
guidance?
also have an adjustment counselor now, so the adjustment counselor might be the appropriate person to help work through that. We tried to make sure that we have services for our students because, there's a lot of social emotional issues going on with our kids nowadays, and I think any of us that went to the conference last week can say that we've seen a lot. And, we at Whittier have really tried to set up services for students so that they can learn. And if there's all these other things going on for them, they have a hard time learning. So we really try to make sure that there's services for our kids.
That's good, I'm glad. Thank
Mr.
you.
Early.
Thank you. I know there's an article in here about welcome to Whittier, about the new adjustment counselor. How is that working so far?
So far, very good. She's learning the culture of the school. She's getting to know the students. She's busy. She's busy. Yeah.
Dr. Testaverde.
Yeah, I have a question in regard to the health curriculum, and I don't know, with the new law passing in regard to recreational use of marijuana, will that have an effect on the curriculum, or will we be doing any kind of educational process in regard to that because of the new law passing? I don't know what the time frame is for implementation, but.
I think we're all working really hard to try to keep up with the law. And I think that that's going to be a work in progress. I would expect that there'll be some changes. But I think what we're trying to continue to tell students is to abstain from drugs and alcohol, even though, the state has chosen to go in a direction legalizing it. But here at the school, and I have to stress, here at Whittier, it's imperative that we have kids that are free of drugs and alcohol. We have heavy-duty equipment. We cannot have students under any kind of influence here at the school. So we will continue to do that.
21 years of age.
And I might add to it, I believe that's for over 21,
Yeah.
so it'd be the same as alcohol or in that category.
A quick question. Oh, any more questions? A quick one. On the curriculum, does that also involve students in, if somebody's choking or things of that nature, how to react, or,
In the health curriculum?
yeah.
Not for the substance abuse. If somebody's choking in general,
Are they taught how to address that?
I mean,
That's necessarily taught in the health curriculum. They are taught that in the health occupations program.
Oh, yeah.
We have many staff that are CPR and first aid certified. We have a trainer over there, and Mr. Leganis. So there's many people here that have been trained on how to handle that.
So that's, all that is separate from the
Yes.
curriculum,
yes,
and how to use a defibrillator and all that.
yes, yeah. And that's more, like Ms. Lynch said, more of our health
Right,
occupations.
occupation. It's true, yeah.
So we did hear a lot at the MASC conference about SEL learning, social emotional learning, and so this health curriculum is that component, is that correct? Because all students
Well,
receive health education.
Yes, well, all students take our health education program, so they will learn this. Excuse me. Last school year, we had a focus on social emotional. Miss Lynch really made it as her first year in the social emotional well-being of both staff and students. We brought in guest speakers on our half days for the staff, so we really had a good focus on really educating our staff on what they could see, the various things that might be happening with the students emotionally within their classroom, and how to help them and how to deal with that.
That's very important.
So as always, we were a little bit ahead of the curve in really implementing it last school year, and even the presenters that we selected. After we selected them and chose them, it was like everybody wanted them. So Miss Lynch was had her pulse on it right away from the get-go. So yeah, we really take that to heart for our staff and students.
That it was well received. Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you by chance have that young lady that was at the conference, was it Amy Minahan?
Jessica.
Jessica Minahan.
Yes, that's who we had last year.
She was incredible.
Yes, she was the one that we picked, and then it was like everywhere after we selected her. We just got her
She was
early. We
wonderful.
were very lucky.
I'm glad we did, we were very lucky.
Well, thank you. Ms.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the report from our Director of Technology, Mr. Williams.
I couldn't read his stuff on here. That one's okay, but like this,
Yeah.
I couldn't make that out.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, and members of the school committee member. I am Kevin Williams, Director of Technology, and I just happened to look, I'm just 3 days into my 7th year here at Whittier, so I'm very proud to say that. And I'm here to give my annual update of all things technical. As usual, my team has been very busy over the summer that extended this year from late spring into early fall, tackling a number of projects that were funded over the last year. I'm here to highlight a few of them. Excuse me. Over the summer, we upgraded our wireless networking gear to now the second generation of hardware that we've had here at Whittier. We were able to use data from our monitoring systems that we installed the year prior to identify some areas that needed some extra coverage. And with help from the electrical students, we were able to wire up 5 new locations and have that done before the end of June last year, before they went home. So I give thanks to the electrical department and Mr. Whittier in particular for helping us with that project in the building. With the increase of the usage, we also took the opportunity this summer to increase our internet speed by 900%. 70% of that cost is covered by E-rate for us. And lastly, the last potential bottleneck for us for traffic leaving here is our firewall and web filters. And we were able to upgrade that as well. Through our monitoring systems and by comments and discussions with our staff, we found that all these pieces that we've done to the infrastructure have not only alleviated any of the issues they had the prior year, but also it really increased their ability to do many more things now and still give us a comfortable cushion for growth in the future. On the one-to-one update, this is the first year that we've had every student with an iPad in their hands now. That's over 1,300 students. That's not counting devices have by the staff. Upgraded management software that we installed from this summer has really made our job much easier. And honestly, all credit goes to my staff, at Lisa Belfiore and Mike Lacert, for making all this happen. Lastly, the administration has been working hard with the staff on making integrating technology a primary goal through the evaluation process, with the vision that using technology concurrently really gives our students an advantage as they leave us for the workforce or for higher education. In support of that goal, we created a comprehensive resource site to help staff and students find lesson plans, understand the 6 main standards, and really learn how to differentiate their lessons to accommodate all types of learners and situations. Earlier this summer, we took on the complete redesign of our main school website and a brand new website for our evening school, built on a modern commercial platform, and now allows us to serve a site that is allowed to be viewed just as well on mobile and on desktop. Right now, we have about a 56% rate on mobile versus desktop, so that was very important to us. It also supports alternative technology to support universal design and access for people who have challenges with visual and motor skills, so that all people can access information for us at Whittier. Additional thanks really goes to librarian and media specialist Rich Porcelli and the assistance with this project. One of the benefits of moving to this new commercially available platform is advanced statistics. Now we can track activity, monitor popular and unpopular content, and use that data to continuously improve how we present our website. For the evening school, for example, we could use it to track how our advertising purchases are effective or not by monitoring traffic to specific campaign web pages. We also took the opportunity to move our newsletter platform to another commercial system that allows us to do the same sort of tracking on campaigns, really helping us to understand the effectiveness of our communication efforts. And lastly, Whittier is using more and more technology to expand the ways we engage with our community. One of the best ways we've found recently is to use Twitter. It's easy, it's fast, and most importantly, it's viewable by anyone, even if they don't have a Twitter account. The main accounts that we have here are listed, one for the school, one for our superintendent, one for our IT department, and one for our school store. Throughout the rest of the year, we still have a few projects to go. We have to replace about half of the devices in the hands of our staff. And we're also working on some new workflow initiatives to streamline some of the internal processes through the superintendent's office and the business office to make our day-to-day lives a little bit more streamlined and easy to do with less paper, more streamlined. That's all I have for you this evening. I'd be happy to take any questions you have.
I just have a question about Twitter. You said there were 4 accounts, and I'm just wondering, do we need to load something on the iPad, or is it just we get it right off of the?
We can do it many different ways. You can view it on the web. We can load a client for you. You can view it right on our website. We have the feeds for 2 of our major feeds are right on our website for everyone. So we really try and hit it as many different ways as possible. If somebody wants help with that, I'm more than happy to help them with that.
You could tell me what Twitter is.
Twitter,
Just ask
No,
that.
that's a conversation. That's a conversation for another time.
fair
You're
enough.
gonna- you're gonna
Consider it a
educate me.
micro publishing system. Allows us to publish information in very short bursts. Yes, sir.
How are we doing on our server infrastructure to support all of this?
Server infrastructure is very well. 2 years ago, we replaced our virtual servers with the next batch. They were 4 years old, already in that cycle. We also rely heavily on cloud services because honestly, Google has 10,000 engineers to fix email versus 3 of us. We use a lot of those types of services, web-based services out there. For that reason, it's scalable and it's supportable and it's used by many, many people. So it alleviates us from having to worry about those day-to-day, the server's broken. We get to spend more time with people helping them use the technology and less time in the back room just fiddling around with bits and wires.
And since we are going to this paperless, what are we doing as far as our backup structures and storage and for the years that we have to?
Yep.
And how many years are we planning to keep records digitally?
It depends on the record. The record laws depend on each type of specific information. A lot of that information actually isn't in my purview. A lot of that stuff is in the special ed, the main office, financial records. Most of those are all on paper right now. We are looking at ways. We do certain things like student transcripts. We take them off of paper, we download them onto CDs, DVDs, and put them in fireproof file cabinets. So they're digital, but they're really sitting someplace physically.
Okay.
But those other things are usually outside the purview of the type of storage that I'm holding.
Okay, because that'll be something we're just gonna have to figure out here, because that's one of the issues that's coming is, yes, it's great to go to the digital, but, it's not like you had the boxes and go back to the filing cabinet in 5 years. How long do you keep it, and, because it costs money as well, and, when do you let it drop off the bit bucket, or what do you need to commit to actual
Right. For us,
hard assets like
Right.
the.
For us, for things like email, because we're a Google Apps for education, that's free and unlimited. We store it for the law mandated 7 years, and it automatically purges, things like that. But luckily, we don't have a cost for that because they give it to us for free, any of that storage, so.
I just wanted to say, Kevin said he's been here for starting 7 years. We have come so far from having nothing to sounding, and I have very little expertise, sounding very sophisticated and really up to date in what's happening. And so I think Kevin and his team and the coordination with the administration and the faculty and the students is just a very, very good achievement and needs to be applauded.
Thank you, thank you. It's a whole team. It really is a whole team. We can't do it without everybody's support, including you, so thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Kevin, I just want to, I tried this time to not look at my packet at all. I'm determined to just use this.
Yes.
But I couldn't read any of your slides.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw how it came out on the.
The 3 on a slide, probably, they're probably
No,
tiny.
it looks like Japanese,
Oh,
no, I'm
I'll-
not talking, yeah.
I'll have to take a
I'm
look.
talking on here. Did you look at them?
Yeah, it's tiny.
It's not tiny. It's blurred and it's,
Oh, I'll be happy to take a look later.
okay.
Yes.
Speaking of those iPads, if we don't use them, I haven't touched mine since you guys gave it. Do you guys want them back? It just sits there collecting dust.
Wait till the end of the meeting.
Okay. All right.
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
I gotta bring mine in.
Now we have each grade, so say the seniors, for instance, how are those iPads holding up? We lease them and then we upgrade.
Our students keep the same iPad for all 4 years. We collect them in the spring. They get back the one they hand to me in June, they get back in September. We buy them, or lease them, but the lease is over with in the 2 years. We keep them for the 4. We make sure that first year, the first 2 batches, the ones that are now juniors and seniors, they're probably in the lower edge of things at this point. They're still completely supported. They're only one level down. The biggest complaint with them was the amount of memory that's built into them. But when we bought 720 at once, we had to deal with certain parameters. The newer ones for the sophomores and the freshmen don't have that limitation. But we've been able to manage it very well. We are a school that relies on a very small number of universal apps. We do not say to our teachers, give me 12 apps for every class. We instead say, we want to support what you do in the classroom. Everybody uses the same universal set of apps to help support the students. We're not using apps to teach our students. Our teachers are teaching the students. The devices there just support them. So we've been able to manage that, along with the unlimited storage that we have with Google for each of the kids' accounts. We've been able to manage that process pretty well.
What types of security do you have in place on the students' iPads?
On the student iPads, they are locked down. They're in supervised manage mode. I give a whole presentation to both the parents and the students. The devices are registered to us through Apple. If a student thought they'd be enterprising enough to take one home, erase it, and start from scratch, the third step in any activation process in an iPad is to reach Apple servers. As soon as it reaches Apple servers, it goes, hello, Whittier Tech, here's all your policies and lockdown right back on it. So we maintain a pretty stringent set on that iPad. Students aren't even allowed to download apps, even free ones.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yep.
What about access? Do they have on their iPad access to social media sites?
No, we do not allow that, and we also block it. Not only do we block it in-house and disallow the downloading of the iPads, iPads themselves have a built-in web browsing blocker, whitelist and don't allow list. We've been doing it for a number of years. That list is pretty comprehensive. We control it. So even outside the building, even trying to go to the web logins of a Twitter or a Facebook or a Snapchat, they can't even get it from home.
I just wanted to make sure on
Yeah,
how
we're
much,
very
especially
stringent.
with some of the apps nowadays.
We have a zero tolerance policy for that and always have. Our management software is excellent at letting us know if something's going on with that. But now with the new rules from Apple helping us, they can't even download the free apps. It's really made it much, much simpler for us to deal with.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I know especially some of those apps lead to cyberbullying, those
Yes,
types of issues.
absolutely. That's why we've always had a zero tolerance policy with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great.
Chairman,
Yes.
just tell Mr. Wood that my sons have been using the iPads now for almost 4 years, and there's been no issues. They're not, they sometimes express frustration, like on Facebook or any of that. And they're pretty much, they're very savvy with computers, but they are unable to use the do what you were just suggesting about, so the
Well,
security
I
is,
was
the
curious on
security
our
is
security
excellent, I
levels.
can assure you, at least from a parental point of view.
Yeah, we have a kid in the same grade, and they actually can recite a list of all the things they can't do on that iPad.
And boy, you hear it a lot at home.
But, so from that perspective, they've done very, very well with that.
Absolutely.
And it's just, as we like to see the development of how teachers are actually implementing later in the year, is always helpful to see how that's improved. And going forward, it's done well, but obviously there were a number of things that can go better to get that working within the classrooms better.
Yep. Being the first year one-to-one, honestly, this is the first year some of our senior teachers are now having to use it. So it was always a growth phase. Our 9 and 10 teachers are experts. But like any population, there's a bell curve, and some people in front of it, a lot of people in the middle, and some are behind.
Right.
We have, as you saw in the higher letter things, we have 7 peers, teachers, who are paid and help out their peers to help use the technology. So if they can't come to us or are unable to come to us, they can reach out to a neighbor, somebody else who does it in the classroom every single day, and get that help from a peer. It's a very successful program.
When the teachers have those the sessions where they're taking the half day or what, is part of this, part of the training and everything towards better integration, or how are you implementing, or how are we moving for that forward?
Well, one of the things that we implemented this year, and Kevin touched on it a little bit, is that every teacher's goal, every teacher has a goal to be using the technology in their classroom. So how they do it or what have you is up to them, but that is one of our goals, is to make sure that we're using that technology every day in the classroom. It continues to be a work in progress. Unfortunately, this year, I should say fortunately, we spent a lot of time on NEASC in our after-school days, in our.
On what?
What Kelly talked about, the accreditation process.
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah.
that does take up a significant amount of time this year, but that continues, like we said, we have the iPad specialists that teachers can get help. We've also asked teachers to go and visit teachers that we think are experts. This teacher has a really nice lesson using the iPad, you should go and watch them and learn from each other. We
So it's
found-
not part of that curriculum then, when they have their half-day workshops or something, it's not set up,
Be part of professional development.
yeah, as part of professional
It
development.
has been for the last 3 years. This year, we had to really focus on NEASC
Okay.
and the accreditation process, so.
Yeah, it's something we'll just need to keep an eye on, because these are great tools as long as they're integrated and continuously used, and when we stop, then they quickly go off to the side, and then,
I can tell you that if I was to go to pretty much any teacher and tell them I was taking their iPad, I'd have to run because they would chase me down. They don't know they can't live without the iPad and their MacBooks anymore. It is part of everyday class. If I told them the Wi-Fi's down for 3 minutes, I hear about it. So it's part of the culture. It's part of the way Whittier does things now, period.
right, I just want to make sure it gets uniform across, there's good, there's bad, we just want to bring everybody up to
Yes,
the level.
absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now move on to the next agenda item, the long-awaited principal's report. Mr. Gamer.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, and rest of the school committee members. The advisory board for the vocational programs was held on Thursday, October 20th. It was well-attended. The Department of Education was at the advisory board to review the facilities for the medical assisting program, which was approved last Wednesday. Our students will be going to the Skills USA Fall Leadership Conference, November 20th through the 22nd. About 12 students and from freshmen to seniors are going out to Marlborough, Mass. Also, as you know, last Sunday, we had our open house, which was held November 6th from 1 to 4. Very well attended, and also thanks to the Patriots bye week. It was amazing, all the public that showed up for this event. There were many interactive activities, staff presentations, core presentation, also shop areas had demonstrations. If you got a chance to go see the house that was down in Carpentry, they had siding, it was absolutely beautiful. And also Project Discovery, our summer, had a nice display, as well as medical assisting had a little display, and the Skills USA had a table as well. The middle school tours have started. I believe Ipswich was here yesterday, and they are going to be going on until the winter holiday break, where they will finish. The first quarter report cards are being issued tomorrow, on Thursday, as well as next week. We have Parents' Night on Thursday, November 17th, from 6 to 8. Again, the parents will be able to have brief meetings with their child's academic teachers as well as their vocational teacher. Also during that time, we had talked about that from 5 to 6, there'll be a grade 9 informational session about choosing their technical program. And also Kelly Fay was talking about the Above the Influence, the Hidden in Plain Sight presentation will be going on from 5 to 6. Don't panic. Roxanne Grover, who's the head of the program as well as head of the health and phys ed, she's also the cluster chair. She's going to be answering questions till 8 o'clock. She'll be here from 6 to 8. So if you can't get to both those meetings, if you're interested, she'll be there. And the staged room, the hidden in plain sight, will be there the entire night as well.
Next Thursday night?
Yes,
5
yes.
o'clock?
Yep, 5 to 6. Yep, that actual presentation. And she said she's going to be there answering questions all night if anybody's interested. The Booster Club continues their ongoing efforts to raise funds for the student athletes. I put here, don't forget, if you haven't ordered your pies from the Man Orchard fundraiser, last year we had, I don't know for, it was the last year or 2 years ago, I don't know if we're quite up to 500 pies, but we're getting there, as well as I'm meeting with a couple of the Booster Club members next week, and they're coming up with other fundraising ideas. So if you haven't, we do have some flyers, and they're out there if you're interested in delicious pies for Thanksgiving. Also, our focus continues with school safety. The enhanced lockdown and shelter-in-place training drills will be held throughout the year. And I don't want to give you the exact dates that we're having those because they're drills, but we are on the course. And hopefully the weather holds up a little bit here, and it seems to, so we're going to get things done pretty soon. Any questions?
One thing, I was at the open house, and I will tell you, that parking lot was full.
Yes.
And I was here for about 2.5 hours, and there was just a lot of groups went through. I'm thinking it's going to be another good year for applicants coming in to, the towns will fill all our slots, I'm pretty sure. There was a lot of interest.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I have to give some props to the assistant principals for the tours. If you notice, those tours were very well organized.
They were.
And
They
were.
had their signs,
They had the
walked them
signs.
through. That was
And
great.
Mr. Pigeon and Tricia Fleming did a nice job in organizing. There were a ton of, you know, parents that were there and the public touring our building, and you're correct. They were all over the place.
Yes, sir, Mr. Wood.
Just a quick question, and thank you for the invite to the open house today. I felt like I was on the Havel School Committee.
Yeah, anytime, anytime.
But how many of the sending districts participate in the sending of students here for, to view the building? Do all?
For the middle school, we try to go
Everybody
after
still
everybody,
participating?
and as of now, I believe everybody is coming.
Okay, just
So,
curious if
yeah,
everyone was
yep,
participating.
Yep, and that started, it did start yesterday, and it's amazing how fast this cycle goes, but they were in here yesterday,
Okay.
the Ipswich.
Yes, Alana.
Do the students come for the tours just from 8th grade, or is it 7th and 8th?
Just 8.
Yeah, it's just
Eighth.
8th graders, yeah. Yep.
When do they have the interviews? Do the guidance counselors go to the school for the interviews?
Yes, the guidance counselors go to the schools for the interviews, yep, yep.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Cosmos.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Madam Superintendent, members of the committee. At the last meeting, I told you that I would update you on our bleacher project, and I want to take a few minutes to do that. The old bleachers were demolished, and they were removed during the week of October 10th. After that, the excavation process commenced, and the trenches were dug. 2/3 of the footings were poured, and then we had the microburst that occurred on October 21st. So we had a little bit of damage, but not much. The heavy rains that occurred required that we redo some of the evacuation work. We had to make a few slight adjustments to a couple of the footings to make sure that they didn't shift and were in proper place. And then we also had to pump out a lot of rainwater that had accumulated in the trenches. But luckily, those reworkings took only 1 day. We did not incur any additional cost. We were already ahead of schedule anyway, so it really didn't affect the estimated finish time for the project. The bleachers are scheduled to arrive next Monday, and at that point, it will be approximately 3 to 4 weeks where the construction company will assemble them and install them. So that's where we stand with the bleacher projects. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the committee chairperson's reports. Our next meeting, we have the annual agenda items under review, for the review of the curriculum. Right, we just did that.
December.
What do you mean there's no December? Well, there is. Yeah. Yeah, we have to review it. We have all this done tonight. Now, reorganization meeting date. We're gonna discuss that in December. You wanna do that tonight? I think we should, next month, we'll discuss the finalization for our reorganization meeting date. We have a policy on it. However, some of the school committee members like to amend that to incorporate in the same week. So we'll bring that up at the next meeting. Secondly, I have here correspondence, according to the policy, from the superintendent. Please accept this letter as formal notification in accordance with my contract to notify the committee in writing of my wish to commence negotiations for a successor agreement. So she's notified us the contract is up for review and additional time spent. So we will discuss that at the salary negotiations committee meeting and have a report by December meeting. We'll set that meeting up tonight. And the subcommittee reports and the executive, we have not met. I don't think we have any reason to meet in the near future, so we'll go on with that. Instructional personnel, Dr. Testaverde.
Instructional personnel met this evening, and we updated our chair position, and I was reelected for consecutive year to continue as chair of the instructional committee.
Okay.
Thank the
Thank you.
committee for their support.
Plan operations, Mr. Tucker.
Has not met, and I don't see any reason why we have to.
Okey-doke. Thank you. Salary negotiations, Mr. Burns isn't here. In lieu of him, we'll schedule a meeting to meet with the superintendent before next meeting. I'll be there. Who else is on that committee here?
I am.
Scott, Dr. Testaverde. You have an appropriate, probably,
When do you want to do it?
well, right after Thanksgiving?
The week of the 5th?
Yeah,
Okay, what do you want?
let's check it out. The week of the 5th. Okay. All right, November, so the week of the 5th. What's a good night? Is Tuesday or Wednesday better nights for everybody, or
Doesn't matter to me.
doesn't matter for you?
It's okay. Tuesday or Wednesday should be okay. I don't have my schedule with me, but should be fine.
You want to do Wednesday,
We'll do Wednesday, the 7th,
6:30,
6:30.
or you want to do it earlier?
Can you
Scott's-
you make it by 6:30, Scott, or you want to?
Yeah, that's,
Early be
6:30.
better, or that's a good time for you?
No, 6:30 is fine.
6:30. Okay, announcements will go out. I'll try to get ahold of Mr. Burns. Okay, good.
Mr.
Yes.
Chair, if you did happen to need another person for that subcommittee, I'd be willing to be
Okay.
appointed to
Yep,
a committee at your whim.
we will do that. Thank you. Can you make note of that, because I'll forget.
Because there may be you may be short a member
Yeah.
on one or two of your subcommittees, and I live nearby.
Yep, great.
I have good attendance.
Yes, you too.
Is there any other negotiations we need to be aware of?
At this time, no.
No. Okay, good. Policy, Mr. Irving.
Mr. Chairman, I bring before you this evening the drug-free workplace policy, GBEC, which we've had a first reading. So I move for second reading and final approval of GBEC, drug-free workplace policy.
Second.
Second. First by Mr. Irving, second by Mr. Tucker. Any discussion on the second reading? Yes.
I believe Alana was gonna check with Mike about any inconsistencies in the policy.
Yep, I did speak with him, but then we just had Maureen refer everything to, she met with the teachers and talked about it, and talked to Roseanne, and Roseanne was comfortable with the language, and so, that's it. It was just one little section of it that, that we had added that was not in the original policy, so.
And we changed that from the 72 hours to 3 working days. And I think the teachers are in
They-
compliance.
Yeah, so.
They're happier.
Just a question on that.
Sir.
Did we get them to, did they agree to that, adding that stipulation in writing, or was it a verbal?
It was a verbal
Because it
agreement.
has, that has caused, we have a similar policy where we implemented that, and that led to some issues if it wasn't in writing and signed. So, I don't know, something to think about. If it's not signed via impact bargaining or something like that. I know it's led to grievances and issues along the way because it was not collectively bargained.
We can explore that.
I did speak with the president of the union, and this is the language that we agreed on.
Okay.
Good.
I do believe too, once we adopt that, that's a policy for the school committee, policy also for the school, which we have purview over, so that's reflected in either handbooks or what they basically sign on to. They had their chance and they did add to it, so, and we took that into consideration and adopted their language.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I just know we,
It's a valid
Yeah, it's good to.
we had to actually put it in the contract. I know the city solicitor advised us if it wasn't in the contract would trump the policy if it ever went to a collective an arbitrator. So that's why we eventually put it there.
You may wanna,
Well, we'll be opening up negotiations.
yeah, you may wanna at least keep that close to the
Yeah.
surface in case they do it.
Right, yeah, well, that might be part of the next negotiation.
Thank you.
Good point, sir. Okay, is nothing else? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous. That's it. Meeting dates. Regular school committee meeting will be on December the 14th, 10 days before Christmas Eve. We're going with our usual, we're going
Coming
with
too
our
fast.
usual Christmas festivities, or we're gonna?
Who's dressing up as Santa?
Having a
I
buffet.
think,
Dick?
didn't we have the choir come at one meeting, and you wanna pursue that?
They could do that.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Little buffet.
They did, didn't they?
Christmas buffet.
A couple of years ago.
Okay, now, under new business, any new business?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
as the superintendent mentioned earlier, several of us attended the MASC,
Yes, sir.
MASS conference. So just as your delegate, I want to just briefly let you know what we supported the MASC resolutions. The first one was on the foundation budget. There's a foundation budget review commission, and basically they're trying to push the general court into helping us out as far as our foundation budget and how we prepare for budgets each year. So that was approved. The second was talking about a tax reform basically, as simple as I can put it, a graduated income tax, and that was approved. The third one had to do with number 2 yesterday at the election, which is saying no to the charter school reform, which the MASC voted unanimously to oppose that. And the final one, which was really the whole idea of the conference, is that social emotional learning and the well-being of the students in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And basically for all stakeholders to be aware of this, and wherever we can help out in any form, teaching the schools, make sure homes, communities, the whole society is aware of this social emotional learning and the various components that come to us from the community. So that was the resolutions that we passed. I personally went to Liz Walker's keynote address, and she was excellent. As you remember, she spent about 20-odd years, won several Emmys at WBZ. She's now a Presbyterian pastor in Boston, and she works with a lot of people that basically have been involved in gun violence and trying to support them and their families as far as healthier ways. And I think she's also worked, 10 years in one of the African nations, and she developed My Sister's Keeper, I think, where she actually developed and worked in schools. So she was quite good. The other thing, just briefly, went to, again, 2 or 3 social emotional learning, development of the whole child. MCAS, the second generation, where they talked about the rollout of MCAS 2.0 or 2. Whatever it's going to be. Also, the new history foundation and works that are coming out in January, I believe, so we want to talk to Kelly about that. And basically, the graduation requirement is going to be in 2021. So will be a rollout in a series of what's going on. Again, anxiety and health issues, and then finally, the Edward M. Kennedy Institute, where students can go from a high school civics class or any class, and they can go in and actually do a mock-up of the United States Senate. And it's next door to JFK Library. And basically, I passed some information on to the superintendent to, hopefully, Model UN or something can use that. So I don't know if others want to just speak briefly about some of the things you want to. It was an excellent conference.
It was probably one of the best ones that they've had. And a lot of it was geared, the whole focus of the conference was the social emotional learning. And I personally learned a lot. But it just was, it was great. The speakers were wonderful. And the workshops, there were like 2 in every session that you wanted to go to. And you had to pick one, so.
We try to divide it up a bit.
Yeah, we did. We did. We do the best we can. But it's always interesting and educational, and I'm glad that we could do that. So.
And for us, I went to one on that. This social emotional learning, how to deal with it, really starts in pre-K.
Oh,
believe it or not.
yes.
So sometimes, we're seeing the students, after the 8th grade, and some of those intrinsic bullying and emotional and fear, if it hasn't been addressed properly in the early years, can really.
And hunger.
Yeah. And to me, I wouldn't say it's sad, but it's a little bit disturbing that we're getting to these points where, in one of the seminars, basically, the teachers are becoming social workers, and parents. And I think the pendulum is swung a little bit too much to the right. What happened here? Anyway, any other comments?
Yeah,
Yes.
and to your point, there was a very good presentation by this Jessica Minahan, who is an expert on social emotional learning for children, and she gave some really good practical tips and she talked about the practical tips that she gives teachers and people who work with children, school-age children, and I thought they were wonderful. I thought that they were usable immediately, things that you can use right away. So I'm sure her professional development must have been excellent. And I also I always like to go to the presentation where there's 4 different vocational schools that present something that they're doing unique and interesting, and I enjoyed that very much. And one of the presentations was about a maker space, and I discussed it a little bit with Superintendent Lynch, that they create a spot where kids can actually sort of create their own inventions, everything from, there's 3D printers and areas where they can build, kind of like what our robotics team does, but they can go beyond that and actually create businesses and present, kind of like Shark Tank style, when they're finished, and they get assistance, and there's grants available for this type of thing. But it was interesting, and our superintendent is actually looking into it for our school, so I'm really pleased to hear that.
Thank you. Okay, any new business? I have 2 items. One, periodically, and I think we haven't done it for at least 2 years, we have usually a report on the night school, how it's doing, the enrollment's up or down. I know it's kind of a caveat, and I think maybe January or whatever, we could have a report from the night school. And secondly, in conjunction with Mr. Williams talking about the paper reduction formats coming up for everybody, I think it's very appropriate that we be involved in that. So starting next month, we will not be mailing out the packets to the school committee members, because we all have the iPads. However, in conjunction with those that have a little bit of a tribulation about it, on request, we can have it emailed to you, where you can then print it out at your own leisure, or the school will print one out and you can come and pick it up. So, because everybody, do you have an iPad? No, so we have to get him one, yeah. But,
He can have mine. I don't want anything from him, no way. I just don't agree with, I know there's been issues in other districts, and I don't want to be a part of that.
That's your prerogative. I think in conjunction with, paperless, we do spend a lot of time preparing all these agendas and paper, and, it's kind of costly after a while. It's not a big number, but we did agree to use these iPads, and I think it's just technology, I mean, as Mr. Williams said, I hope we get to the point where some of these teachers are, that they don't even know what paper is. Yes, sir.
May I ask that a packet or some packets be available
Yes.
for us at a meeting? if
Yep,
were-
we can have some at the meeting. You can have it emailed to you at your request, or they'll print it out whenever you want, and you can come pick it up. But
Keep
I see
saying
what-
come pick it up. I'm not gonna come over here just to pick
Oh,
up an
okay.
envelope that I can get in the mail.
Right.
If you had one here on the desk, I could arrive at the meeting a few minutes early.
We will
to
have
a chance
couple.
to review.
We'll have two printed out. If you request one and you don't want to come
I am
in,
now requesting.
we'll have
I
one
request
available
in
for
for
you.
every meeting as well.
Okay. Because I'll tell you right now, and I'm the worst culprit, after the meeting, 98% of this goes in the recycle. And we're now, if you go into your iPad, all the previous agendas are right there.
Yeah.
You can-
I save everything for 7 years.
You do? Okay, yes, sir.
I chose not to have an iPad. I think the electronic transmission is something I'm not, as far as a secure level, I prefer the paper, I always have.
All right.
I don't throw it, it's all organized in files, so I would appreciate to get it. If you can't mail it, that's unfortunate. I think
Well, we
that
can
cost
email it
is-
to you, or we can have
But
it.
then I've got to print it, so it's, either way, it's cumbersome. I'm just saying, it's not, I think the packet coming in the mail was $1.57 on it. It's disappointing if that can't be accommodated, I guess.
Well, we can make exceptions. I would like to, we paid, we voted to do this, we paid the money for it. I think we should try to implement to the best of our ability. If people still object, we can make exceptions, but I would hope sooner or later we all,
Well, if half of us get it on the iPad, you've just saved 50% of your paper.
correct, yeah. That's what I said. If you want to request it, we'll still send it to you.
Oh, you will still,
Well,
will still
if people don't want to come in, I think to be fair, we'll mail it for the $1.50. But I would hope,
Make motion to adjourn.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous. Meeting adjourned.